Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Esports Racing League presented by Spec Racer Sports, Alliance Autosport, and Grassroots Motorsports Magazine here on Apex Racing TV. And over the course of our 9-week regular season and then the winner-take-all championship we like to call the runoffs, we hope to bring you some of the best racing around in 3 different classes, well known to club racers here in the United States: Spec Miata, Spec Racer Ford, and Formula 4. I'm Greg Ginsberg, and along with DJ Clark in the commentary booth and Jonathan Grabowski in the virtual production trailer, we descend this week upon California's Monterey Bay and the Dry Lagoon, WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, where this low-grip surface and the iconic corkscrews 60-foot drop could just very well wreak havoc on racers looking to recover from last week's Mid-Ohio madness. And as we do each week, we'll feature 2 20-minute sprint races. First on track this week will be the Spec Miatas, followed by Spec Racer Ford. But rest assured, we'll get back to Formula Car racing next week at the penultimate event for the Esports Racing League's 7th season. We're going to see our Formula 4 cars at the National Park of Speed next week. That is Road America. And for, well, DJ, welcome back. And after an evening of how do we put this? Well, I guess, yeah, just mayhem at Watkins Glen, especially our final race of the evening, the Spec Miata race, where I don't think anybody wanted to finish that race with anything less than like 15 incident points. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well, and very excited to be back here at Virtual California. This track is a big favorite of mine. You mentioned the corkscrew, but really the run all the way from the Andretti hairpin all the way back down to turn 11. Every corner on this track, very difficult, but very challenging and very fun to watch.
Yeah, it is a track that it has great flow, and as they've changed the layout, it's been years since they changed the layout, obviously adding the additional corners, turns 3 and 4 to the layout here. We can see as we're watching right now Bob Kucera come through turn 6 and up that Rahal straight towards the corkscrew. There are so many corners here which are deceivingly difficult. We've got that turn 6 where you've got that dip right at the apex. If you miss it, if you come out of that groove, there's a good chance you're going to be running through the ground or through the sand all the way up to the retaining wall drivers, right? There's, of course, the corkscrew, which is a challenge in its own right. You know, you don't have maybe the fear factor that you have in real life going down the corkscrew, but it is so difficult to get the timing right, to get your eyes up and ahead, and not only carry speed into the corner, but carry speed out of the corner as well. You mentioned the Andretti hairpin, which is not turn one. Here, turn one is we see the drivers going over that little crest, little rise right now, but coming down the hill into that can be either a single apex or double apex left-hander at the bottom of the hill. It's so difficult, one, to carry speed out of there, but it is one of the key passing areas of this track, and in many cases you'll see some bending of metal there as drivers perhaps get a little overzealous, try to shove the car underneath another driver for a pass there. But always very challenging here, and you know, and much like in real life, and I guess this is going to change after this winter, where DJ Laguna Seca is getting in real life repaved for the first time in many a year. You know, the track surface here in iRacing, much like it's been for many years at the real life Laguna Seca, very low grip, and you know, you really have to fight to not turn in early around here. You can find yourself again looking and finding even less grip out on the sand that rings this entire track.
Yeah, you certainly can, and nowhere is that easier to do than the corners we're watching right now. Turns 5 and turn 6, medium to high speed corners, requires a lot of commitment to get right. Is there we watch Maloney just getting it a little bit right there, almost a little bit far off wide, and then of course here coming up to the world famous corkscrew. And you were right, not necessarily the pucker factor that you have in real life there, but you can still just kind of viscerally feel it as they come down that drop. Very, very tricky to be able to get the car holding right, especially here in these MX-5s. Not a lot of downforce to be working on, so it is just all about that mechanical grip and guts to get those corners right.
And you can see the speed that Ryan Maloney carries out of turn 10 and over towards the final corner, turn 11, but not able to woe them horses down as he comes through the final corner onto the front straight. And it looks like he's going to check out for a few moments here, as we're about 9 minutes into our 15-minute qualifying session here for the MX-5s for Spec Miata. Currently, Jamison Huffman, your provisional pole sitter, with a time of 1:37.30. He's just about 0.15 of a second clear of Ryan Maloney, who we just saw there over at the final corner at turn 11, driving the 1:15 machine. Bob Kucera currently third fastest, another 0.4 back, and then Beans Forster, who is our current championship leader. And I think that might be a good little segue. Let's quickly take a look at the madness at Mid-Ohio last week, where Jamison Huffman from All Sports Racing took the win. Nagase Yoshikawa came in second. Beans Forster, our championship leader coming into the evening, finished third with Deacon Greenfield and Justin Huffman just off the podium. Morgan Burkhardt, who I believe finished third on track after some offs at the very end, actually got put back to 12th position after he had earned himself a drive-through penalty on the very last lap for exceeding the maximum number of incident points, which actually is 12 here in the Esports Racing League. And so if we take a look at the championship standings now in Spec Miata, and this is after 4 of 6 rounds. Tonight is round number 5 for these cars. Beans Forster is currently your championship leader. He's got a 30-point advantage over Deacon Greenfield, currently sitting second in the championship. And then we've got Murphy Nichols in the Smoketown Brewery machine, and I think we saw Murphy out on track tonight. Yep, indeed we did. He is currently qualified 7th with now just 4 minutes remaining in qualifying. Kevin Langer in the number 17 machine, currently sitting 4th in the championship standings. Interestingly enough, Nichols and Langer have only raced in 3 rounds out of the 4. And then we've got Stephen Blethen and Josh Justice, and actually I believe here Blethen only 2 points back from Langer, and then Justice 12 points back from there. So still pretty tight up at the top of the field there, DJ. But I think we're gonna hear Beans Forster's name many times as we go through the championship standings across our 3 classes tonight.
Yeah, I think we are as well. Beans has really had a great season here, really from the outset, just absolutely putting his name forward as one of the strongest drivers in the field. So we'll have to keep an eye out on him as we continue to go along. But right here, looking back a little farther in the field right now on Jose de la Casas right now, the 717. Bringing the car down the corkscrew. He's going to be getting a little bit of that draft up in front of him. Not something that we always talk about around here at Laguna Seca, but certainly going to help him here in qualifying, I think.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, there are definitely some places here where the draft works. Coming out of turn 6, going up the Ray Hall straight towards the corkscrew, certainly. And of course, although you've got that rise on the front straight, certainly coming out of turn 11 and going down to Andretti, but for the most part, the straightaways here at Laguna Seca, not very long, not a lot of opportunity to use the draft, but you you take it when they give it to you. Here, as long as you can lock yourself onto the rear bumper, certainly, especially in qualifying, going to maybe give you another tenth, maybe 2 tenths, which in some cases, as we take a look at the top of the leaderboard here, and that might be all that it takes. Is looking 5th through 7th right now, where there are only, well, actually 5th through 9th, where there are only like 2 tenths, 25 separating a couple different drivers on course, and still pretty tight up at the front. Although it looks like both Jameson Huffman and Ryan Maloney kind of content to sit in the pit lane and wait things out here as time's starting to run down on qualifying.
Yeah, it looks like it's starting to work its way on down. A little bit off right there. Murphy Nichols with a good time. He's going to be pleased with that, I think, running up in the top 4 as he now brings his car down into the Andretti hairpin here at 138.589, what he currently sits on.
There you go, and that's good enough for the outside of row number 2. Looks like Murphy going to a much more plain Jane paint job tonight on the car. And actually, I was sharing with DJ and John before our broadcast. Looks like Murphy Nichols, we know that he had been looking to get into real life SCCA road racing next season, and he has found himself a steed. He's found himself a new race car, and looks like he has decided to dispense with the Smoketown Brewery paint job here in the Esports Racing League for at least 1 weekend, or 1 week, pardon me, and use the same livery as the race car that he just picked up.
Yeah, indeed, he's going to have that on there, so clearly a very happy camper with that new car. A little bit squirrely there coming up and over the corkscrew, but he should be able to keep everything up and underneath him. Looks like he set a green time there in Sector 1 of this lap, so we'll have to see if that continues on for him here. Looks like he's going to lift off and let the 36 on by. Yeah,
I was going to say, as Deacon Greenfield was following him up to the corkscrew and had good pace coming down around turn 9, down around the rainy curve. Looked as though Nichols was going to end up letting up and letting the 36 by. Maybe now he'll, and we can see he's somewhat following the 36 car down, but they cross the stripe. No time remaining for another flying lap here, and Nichols is going to have to stay. And if you look at this, DJ, although he did not move to the inside of row number 3, Nichols did just turn his fastest lap of the session at a 138.59.
Yeah, very good run there for Murphy. So continuing to set that fast time, and I'd be a little bit scared if I were any of the other drivers out on track, knowing that he had that little bit of a lift and still able to set a pretty quick time. So Murphy definitely a quick one out there.
Indeed, indeed. All right, so as we get ready here, and DJ, tell you what, let's do this. And I'm a little freaked out, of course, by the short pace lap we had at Mid-Ohio last week, and the havoc it wreaked upon the field. Let me quickly tell everybody about our sponsor for tonight's first race of the evening, and that's Grassroots Motorsports. Built for the true sports car enthusiast, Grassroots Motorsports has one mission: to be your personal guide to the sports car world. Whether it's online at grassrootsmotorsports.com, in print or in person, the racers and builders, the car nerds at Grassroots, take you behind the scenes and show you how to make your car better. Along the way, they'll give you a taste of everything else this hobby has to offer, offer, from 1,000 horsepower track monsters to cool street cars built in driveways. They also maintain a collection of staff-built project cars because hands-on technical articles aren't typed behind the desk. They're scribbled down in the garage to not only read but become part of the story. Head on over to grassrootsmotorsports.com. All right, so DJ, looks like we've got a couple drivers. Looks like everybody has pulled their cars off track. We've got iRacing wrapping up the qualifying session here, and we'll have that starting grid in just a moment. But interesting to see, Jamison Huffman was part of that little battle at Mid-Ohio just a week ago. He and Deacon Greenfield in there for a while, of course. Morgan Burkhardt, Beans Forster, a part of that battle up at the front as well. And I'm certain that that Jamison, who ended up finishing back in let's see, where did he finish up? Because I think he had issues with the off tracks as well. He ended up finishing back in 7th position. I'm sure he's looking for a little redemption here as well. But let's take a look. We've got the starting grid. Drivers are heading onto the grid for their pace lap. Let's see here. I'll take the top half of the field if you don't mind, sir. With Jamison Huffman, your pole sitter tonight. Qualifying time for him, a 1:37.3. Ryan Maloney will start right next to him. 2 DC area drivers on the front row. Bob Cusero will start 3rd tonight in the number 48 machine, and Murphy Nichols from Smoketown Brewery will start in 4th position outside of row number 2. John Wilson back here with us tonight, driving the number 82 machine. He's going to start 5th this evening, with Beans Forster, our championship leader, driving the number 231 Team Watson Racing Mazda MX-5. He's going to start 6th. Then we've got Justin Huffman and Deacon Greenfield. They'll start 7th and 8th tonight. And making up row number 5, we've got Jim Brewster and Jeff Andrews.
In 11th, it's going to be Jose de las Casas, followed by Stephen Blatthen. Joshua Justice will be lining up in 13th position. In 14th, it'll be Jeremy Shepard. Mark Sherman lines up 15th with Evinger in 16th, Buttermore 17th, and Travis Trussell bringing up the back of this 18-car field in 18th.
Yeah, and we'll see if Travis makes the grid. He did not put the car on track for qualifying, but I think we've seen this a lot with Travis over the course of the season. He's been pulling those hard charger, if there was a hard charger award, the poll, I guess, in the Esports Racing League. I think he'd be the king of the hard chargers, as he has been traditionally starting towards the rear of the field, but he does normally put in at least one lap for qualifying. He has not shown up on the grid as of yet, so maybe he's a little maybe he's a little gun shy after last week at Mid-Ohio. Maybe he's going to start from the pit lane. We'll have to see.
We'll have to see. Indeed, it does look like the other 17 cars are out and ready to go, as we are going to have a full pace lap here from Laguna Seca. Everybody working their way around, trying to get a little bit of heat into those tires. Can be very, very crucial as you rise up this hill a little bit to make sure that those tires are up to temperature by the time that green flag flies and you start the run through 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, and we know a lot of the MX-5 drivers, they've had some issues with tire temps early on in the race. They don't necessarily come to you, for maybe 2 laps or so. And again, Mid-Ohio, WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, bit hard on the tires and not a high grip surface. You'll find in many cases a lot of that sand and dirt gets pulled across the pavement. You can kind of see it there as our drivers come through turn 5 and start to head up the hill here on the pace lap, and that can certainly affect things, especially as we see maybe some side-by-side racing early on the first couple laps.
Yeah, we could see a little bit of that. It's going to be pretty difficult here, I think, to be able to try to get a move to send as this rise up the hill, but I think there are definitely some cases here in these MX-5s that they're going to be able to do so. And, we always talk about it whenever we get these Spec Miatas out on track. No real downforce to speak of in these cars, and so that's good news for these drivers. And normally when we talk about Laguna Seca, we talk a lot about the aero wash and how that buffeting can really affect the other cars around you. Not so much
here. Yeah, exactly. And it looks like Stephen Blethen, driver of the 150 machine, had a real great run, finished 5th last week at Mid-Ohio. Looks like he's having some internet connectivity issues, kind of blinking in and out. We'll have to see if he can make it through the race. That might make things maybe a little bit more difficult for Jose De La Casas or Jeremy Shepard, folks that are gridded up around him, as our pole sitter Jamison Huffman brings the field through turn 11 onto the front straight. You can see the drivers dragging their brakes just a little bit. So we've got Huffman, we've got Ryan Maloney, and the green flag is in the air, and we are underway here at WeatherTech Raceway as our drivers in this 20-minute Spec Miata sprint making their way down the hill heading towards the Andretti hairpin for the very first time. And we've got, looks like Huffman managing to edge ahead of Maloney as Kucera tries to come underneath the 115 machine, but as he does, the track bends back to the other direction. Kucera is going to have to slot into 3rd position with Murphy Nichols 2nd. But DJ, looks like early on here, a much cleaner start than we had at Mid-Ohio. But for the most part, it's Murphy Nichols. Just as I say that, Murphy Nichols getting out into the dirt, coming through turn 4. But it looked like a pretty calm start here from WeatherTech Raceway.
Yeah, very calm start. A lot of respect given coming down into the Andretti hairpin. You saw just how much the field really fanned out there, giving each other a lot of space. We've seen a couple drivers running a little bit wide on the exit of corners here, but nothing really to write home about. We've now got a little bit of action there behind, as I believe that is going to be Kucera and Nichols coming down into the corkscrew.
And Nichols coming right underneath, slicing right underneath the number 48 machine of Kucera. So slot Nichols up into 3rd, drop Kucera back into 4th as those two drivers swap positions from their starting order. But as they did that, it seemingly choked things up a little bit behind them. Beans Forster, John Wilson, Deacon Greenfield having to check up as our two leaders, Maloney and Huffman, come out of the final corner side by side. Ryan Maloney's got about an 1.5 inch advantage now over the 89 machine, and as we complete lap 1, Ryan Maloney is your leader. But as they come down the hill and head over towards the Andretti hairpin for the 2nd time in this race, we've got Huffman with a slight advantage. He's got a little bit shorter run as they get out and set up for turn number 3, but the battle's not done yet.
No, it's certainly not. And Huffman, one of those drivers that's looked a little bit squirrely, stepping over track limits on the exit of corners. He's going to keep everything a little bit better underneath him there on the exit of turn 3. And it looks like Maloney's just going to have to fall back into line. A big hornet's nest a little bit farther back in the field, though.
Yeah, indeed. As we were watching our two leaders, as we were watching Huffman and Maloney, Murphy Nichols had some issues coming down on the braking going into Andretti. He now found himself back in 5th. Now just nose up on the 82 machine of John Wilson. Manages to retake 4th position, but he's lost a lot of ground to Bob Kucera sitting in 3rd. So it's Nichols 4th, John Wilson, then Deacon Greenfield, then Beans Forster, who just now gets around Deacon Greenfield. I was going to say, it looked like Forster had given up at least a couple of spots there on the start, but we now find him sitting in 6th position, right where he started this evening, as they work down through the corkscrew for the 2nd time tonight.
Yeah, and a little bit of a strange line there for Beans coming out of the corkscrew. Normally you see drivers try to carry a little bit more momentum on the exit of 8A as they come down, but he looked like he very much snapped the car, got it down to the inside, maybe trying to set up a little bit better for the rainy curve. Oh, a little bit of side-by-side here between Kucera and Nichols, and that's going to be a big, big logjam for everybody coming up behind him.
Indeed, and so Murphy Nichols made up a lot of ground after that early off over by turn 4 on the previous lap. He manages to work past Bob Kucera, and Kucera now under attack by John Wilson, under attack by Beans Forster, under attack by Deacon Greenfield as well as they come down into the hairpin. We've got Nichols up in 3rd, and Wilson manages to get by the 48 machine, so drop Bob Kucera now in that blue, gold, and white number 48 machine back into 5th position with Beans Forster very close behind in that dark blue number 231.
Yeah, he's going to be starting to put some pressure here, but the battle up at the front of the field is certainly by no means over. Jamison Huffman now has a little bit of breathing room. Let's call it about 0.3 of a second over Ryan Maloney here, but I don't think Maloney is going anywhere. He has certainly been able to keep up to the back of that number 89 and keep applying the pressure.
Yeah, for every time that Jamison Huffman puts a wheel off, has to grab for any little extra bit of grip he can get out and then stand. Maloney has kept all 4 wheels on the pavement here and seems to get very good exit speed out of some of these corners, as we can see, even out of the corkscrew. Seems to have maybe a little bit later turn in for that second apex, the bottom apex at the corkscrew, and gets a good run out, gets a great run out of turn 10 as well. Let's see if he pops to the inside. He takes a quick look, going down under braking in 11, the only I guess very hard threshold, and it's not even really a threshold braking corner there either, as you need to carry, much like turn 7, you need at Road Atlanta, you need to carry as much speed as you can out of that corner. All right, let's take a quick little look. Looks like John's got something queued up for us over here. Oh no, I thought we had something queued up, and no, actually it's Deacon Greenfield and Bob Kucera side by side coming down into the hairpin here, DJ, with Justin Huffman in the 233 machine, that orange, yellow, and black machine in tow, right behind Wilson. But look at this, as Beans Forster now has made his way around that fight. He's now locked onto, well, he's not locked onto the back. He's still got a long way to go to get up to Murphy Nichols, who's built himself up a little bit of a buffer now.
Yeah, got a nice little buffer there up in front of him, and I think that's going to play out well for Murphy at this point. He'll be able to just focus on the road ahead and not have to look too far behind. But Beans Forcer with a very, very good run up to positions on the day, as it looks like we've got side by side for the lead.
And here we go, coming down into the corkscrew, and they've been either nose to tail or door to door here since the very start of this race, as we're now working lap number 4, and we are over a quarter of the way through this 20-minute race already. And seemingly Ryan Maloney, Jamison Huffman, if things continue the way they are, it's going to be very tight here in another 14 minutes or so when the checkered flag comes out, as these two drivers have really managed to separate themselves from the rest of the field, running almost 9/10 of a second faster at this point than Murphy Nichols, than the rest of the field. They've turned it into, and you know, and I think at this point, DJ, even though we're only on lap number 5, they've opened up enough of a buffer. They've given themselves enough ground here that they should be able to fight things out for at least a couple of laps here, and not necessarily have to worry about Murphy Nichols finding his way into this fight. You know, and that's a big difference from what we saw at Mid-Ohio last week, where the leaders, they spent so much time fighting with one another, they really couldn't get any separation.
Yeah, exactly. They've got about 4.5 seconds here over Murphy Nichols as we watch Maloney down to the inside going through turn 5. That is a very, very risky proposition, but he's going to make it work. They're still going to be side by side as they come up the corner. This is fantastic stuff here for your leaders.
And then we have Huffman manages to edge past Maloney, and I think Maloney kind of thought better of going side by side through turn 6. Not only would it kill their speed up the hill, if you got caught out of that groove at the apex, it could turn into tears for these drivers. But at this point, as they fight pretty much on the flat portions of the track and not the uphill portions of the track, they haven't lost a ton of ground to Murphy Nichols, maybe a quarter of a second over the majority of this lap, as they come now down into the final corner. And I think they're being helped a little bit by Murphy Nichols. It looks like he just ran wide coming out of turn 10, gathers that white number 5 machine back up, but in doing so finds himself a couple more tenths back from our leaders.
Yeah, as we've got a very wide run there for Bob Kucera coming off the line. I think he's going to try to look down to the inside of Deacon Greenfield here, really trying to set himself up as much as possible. Doesn't look like Deacon's going to give him the space, though, but here comes Wilson coming up behind as well. They got to be a little bit careful here. Kucera with the crossover, able to get it done and able to get that pass made.
And you could see there as Kucera, as Greenfield moved to the outside, moved drivers right, Kucera was committed to pushing that car down to the inside, trying to come underneath the 36 car. It's great going to the first apex, but a lot of times you just can't carry the speed out of turn 2, heading towards turn 3, and now Kucera is going to have to make that move, or attempt to make that move one more time, as he's going to follow Greenfield through turn 5 and up the hill. And all the while, John Wilson, with the patience of Job, sitting there and watching all this transpire ahead of him. He hasn't tried to force the issue, nor has Justin Huffman right behind him.
No, they certainly haven't, as Wilson is just absolutely picking the right opportunity to make the overtake here. He's not getting too terribly aggressive. He's just finding the area where he can. And I love this approach from him, as there you see Kucera getting it a little bit wrong. That's exactly what he's hoping for to happen in front of him.
Yeah, you know, the problem that you run into here at WeatherTech Raceways in a lot of cases, as we watch our leaders coming out of turn 11 side by side once again with a little bit better exit for the 89 machine. You know, but what you have here, and you know, in some regards, this is somewhat similar to what we saw at Mid-Ohio last week, is that you know, the runs between some of these different corner complexes, DJ, are so short that even though you may get a good run out of one corner, it's very hard to take advantage of it. We saw that just a few moments ago here with John Wilson, certainly with a better run than Kucera out of the corkscrew. But as they had to let out of the throttle to go down the rainy curve, it's very loose on the outside of turn 9, out on the outside of the rainy curve. Any advantage that he had built up was kind of tossed away, you know, within half a corner, primarily on car positioning.
Yeah, exactly. You really have to have a monster run to be able to get anything to play here, or hope for a mistake out of the drivers in front of you. That's a little bit of what we see, and that's what we talked about a little bit earlier with Jeff Wilson, hoping to see those little micro errors out of Kucera, out of Deacon Greenfield in front of him, to see if he can be able to pick up the pieces just like that, side by side through 6. That's going to be music to the eyes there of Jeff Wilson. He's going to gain 1 position.
Yeah, indeed, as those two drivers did go side by side, and not a quick exit out of turn 6, heading up the hill, up the Rahal straight, and as they come down the corkscrew now, move Wilson up into 6th position. He started 5th tonight, so still a net -1 here, but he's got a good run on the 36 of Greenfield as they drop down into turn 10, and you can see how cambered it is there, how Greenfield turned in much later to try and carry speed, but there you see, under braking, Wilson all over the back of the 36, and as he checks up, looks like the advantage switches back to Kucera, who once again finds himself all the way down the inside of the front straight driver's left as they push down the hill towards the hairpin.
Yeah, he's going to be trying to find a little bit of a move. That may also be a little bit of a defensive line trying to run on Justin Huffman, who looked like he could have a little bit of a run. And look at this, Huffman and Jim Brewster also getting involved in this battle as well. That is what driving side by side around this Laguna circuit will really and truly do to you. It just brings this field all together.
And indeed, and you can see there, as you mentioned, Brewster now part of the battle, and that last time by, we saw that Jose De La Casas in the 717 machine, he's about 7 or 8 car lengths back from the orange machine of Brewster. He was 6/10 faster than Brewster, than Huffman as well. So he's starting to pick up positions, and it's pick up position. And it's all due to the battle right now that we're seeing with Greenfield and Wilson and Kucera, 3 or 4 cars up the road.
Yeah, the battle certainly continuing to play itself out here as they work their way down through the corkscrew, kicking up a little bit of dirt. There was John Wilson, just a little bit on apex, but he's still going to be able to hold on to that 6th place position as they run.
Yeah, it's interesting watching the contrast between Wilson and Kucera coming down through that complex, where Wilson will turn in. He turns in a little bit later at the top of the hill, squares off the first apex, and then is able to open things. Oh, and just as I was talking about De La Casas making his way up to that 2nd pack, he had some issues over at the final corner, over at turn 11, and he's going to drop a number. He's going to drop back behind Stephen Blethen in the 150 machine. I think we've got a replay of it. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened.
As we pull up back here on the SDK replay, oh, he catches a big amount of that inside sausage curve. That's not going to distract him from trying to go to the inside there of the 223, and contact there made between himself and Justin Huffman. I have to get another angle at that, but it almost looked like Huffman turned in a little bit on him there.
Yeah, may not have expected the ground there that De Las Casas have made up, and I think we've got another view of it. Let's take a look here from the blimp view, or the helicopter view from overhead, as De Las Casas gets that great run coming out of 10, coming down into 11. And yeah, I think I don't know if perhaps if De Las Casas had maybe been a little bit closer to Huffman's door, that maybe Huffman would have known that he was there. But as you saw, a little bit of contact there as we have somebody going off wide coming through turn 6. We'll check with that. I think that was Jeremy Shepard that we just saw run wide as we jump back to this battle right now with Huffman, Blethyn, De Las Casas, and Josh Justice in the 99. But let's take a look here at the front of the field, DJ, as Maloney and Huffman continue to swap positions. Now it is Ryan Maloney on the point with the 89 machine, and Maloney doing a little protecting that line coming down into Andretti this time around.
Oh, but he left the door open big time there, letting the car drift up at the apex and slide up. That opened up a little bit of an opportunity for Huffman, but he wasn't able to fully capitalize on it. And as we've talked about before, as the track switches back over itself into turn 3 through these two right-handers of 3 and 4, it's going to be Maloney that's able to hold it down. Watch for on the next lap, Maloney maybe to watch for a little bit more to close down that crossover move, because if I'm Jamison Huffman, I'm looking for that opportunity again.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'd know exactly what to do the next time. And as we saw, as Maloney protected the inside, he was able to get down to the first apex, but the car by necessity starts to push wide, and it's much harder to get it turned in for the second half of the corner. We have Huffman coming out of turn 6, dropping the wheels into the dirt, and great recovery for him. Great car control as he gets the rear end who follow the front once again. Let's take a look, as I think we've got that queued up, DJ.
Yeah, we do indeed here, as we're going to ride on board out of turn 5, coming up to turn 6. We talked about earlier how treacherous this corner can be. Looks like Jamison's going to bring the car into the corner, a little bit off the apex, and just dips those right side tires into the dirt and gravel. Amazing job with the counter steer to be able to hold that underneath him. And there you can see he's going to be able to still maintain about a 0.7 of a second gap, but that certainly cost him some time.
You know, and that is one of the corners here is take a look as we've got Stephen Blethyn in the 150 machine challenging Josh Justice in the 99 machine coming underneath, and I was going to say he was challenging Justin Huffman as Huffman runs a little bit wide out of turn 11, and we can see De Las Casas back into that battle as well. I was going to say that DJ, I mean, that's one of the exciting things as a viewer to be able to watch this MX-5 racing, this Miata racing, where the drivers are tucked right underneath the bumper of the car right in front of them. What they don't get in many cases are good sight lines into the corners, and where, turn 6, hitting that apex, not deviating by even a foot or a foot and a half, because it can really impact how that car exits the corner. I think we saw that with Huffman, and Huffman even dialed in an extra little correction just before he got down to the apex. You could see, like, he thought maybe I turned in a little bit too early, and it really unsettled the car coming out of that corner.
Yeah, it certainly did. Just threw it for a loop there, and that's all you have to be off by coming up through turn 6 to have your day almost ruined there, but Huffman has been able to close that down to about 0.4 of a second as we continue to watch this battle. Greenfield leading ahead of Kucera and Wilson. Doesn't look like they're getting too aggressive here at this point, but with only about 2 minutes left to go in this race, I think that would go at the line. Time is running out if you want to try to make these positions.
Yeah, indeed, with most of these drivers, with Maloney and Huffman now crossing the stripe to start lap number 12 here. We do have 2 laps remaining, given that we've got just under 2 minutes, and the drivers have been running these drivers have been running in the 137s. So yeah, should be the penultimate lap here, as the 115 of Ryan Maloney leads Jamison Huffman through turn 3, and looks like Maloney, we said early on that he appeared to be the cleaner racer as far as, being able to keep the wheels on track here and keep all 4 wheels on the black stuff. And he's been able now to open up a little bit larger gap. We're looking at about 0.6 of a second, actually now 55 hundredths between Maloney and Huffman. And But Huffman getting a great run out of 5 up the hill. He's starting to close it down just a little bit, just when he needs to.
Yeah, he's getting the run when he needs to here, but he's still about a little bit too far back. There you can see the gap looking out of that rear view mirror as they're going to come down into the corkscrew. Good under braking there is Jamison Huffman, but he's going to lose a little bit of time on corner exit.
Yeah, great late braking move there up at the top of the hill. But as you mentioned, you go down harder into the braking zone there. You're going to have to give something up on exit as you get the car back underneath you. Oh, as Ryan Maloney grabs that big sausage curb right at the apex of turn 10, and that allows the 89 machine to close up even further as this race is starting to wind down. Everything that I said about Ryan Maloney keeping all 4 wheels on the track early on, well, not so much in the last 2 laps as the white flag is in the air. Last lap here for our Mazda MX-5s, or the Spec Miatas here at WeatherTech Racing Laguna Seca. Our 2 drivers, Maloney to the inside, Huffman to the outside, inches apart as they come through the Andretti hairpin. I don't think they touched. That was just real close, tight racing, DJ, as they are still door to door. And as the track comes back with these 2 right-handers in a row, this might be the opportunity for the 89 machine, as Ryan Maloney cuts right across the nose of Huffman to hold him off as they get ready to come up the hill here for the very last time.
Here they come. Is Hoffman going to be able to send that move? He certainly thinks about it coming up into turn 5. Not going to be able to get it done. He's going to lose about 1/10 of a second there. He's really, in likelihood, only going to have about 2 more opportunities to make this pass, going down into the corkscrew and then into turn 11. So he's got to pick his chances very, very carefully.
And here you can see the effect of the draft as we've got the 89 machine moving up. Does he try to go to the inside? No. Maloney protects the inside going into the corkscrew, carries decent speed down through the hill, comes across the nose of the 89 machine to hold him off going into the rainy curve. And now, as you said, it perhaps, DJ, 1 more opportunity to shove that car right underneath the 115 coming down into the final corner coming into turn 11. And it doesn't look like he's close enough to do it.
No, I don't think he's got it here, Greg.
And as they come out of 11 onto the front straight and cross the line, taking the win tonight in race number 1, Ryan Maloney, margin of victory, 0.13 of a second over Jamison Huffman. He's going to finish second, and a very quiet evening. Well, it was a kind of busy first 2 laps or so for Murphy Nichols, but he comes home in 3rd in the Smoketown Brewery machine. Beans 4-star championship leader coming into the evening finishes just off the podium in 4th. Deacon Greenfield, Bob Kucera 5th and 6th. Jim Brewster coming across the line in 7th. John Wilson falls back to 8th. Josh Justice finishes in 9th, and Stephen Blethyn's going to round out the top 10 here from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. All right, there you go. Great battle at the front, though. You know, Huffman and Maloney, DJ, pretty much from the drop of the green flag, never seemed more. And I think as they came out of turn 11 on that last lap, probably one of the largest margins that either one had for that entire race, and it was only about a car length and a half.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't a whole lot there in between the 2 of them, but a fantastic battle up and through the field. Really and truly, Laguna Seca putting on a great display for us here today.
All right, well, tell you what, we've got Jamison Huffman from All Sports Racing, our 2nd place finisher tonight, sitting in the green room. Let's talk to him, DJ.
Let's indeed. Jamison Huffman, it looked like you had a very busy race out there for you, never really having a moment to relax whatsoever.
Yeah, it was a very action-packed race. It was very fun. Tires definitely were a big part of the game. I was trying to save them a little bit earlier, and Ryan was just pressing on, going 2x2 a lot. Kind of used it up a little bit too much and made too many mistakes later on.
Well, talk to me about dealing with that pressure a little bit. I mean, how much were you driving in the rearview mirror trying to keep Ryan behind you?
It wasn't terrible. I knew a lot of his moves were kind of trying to get me to make mistakes. I was more just turning on a little bit too early in areas that there wasn't any pressure and pushing myself to making mistakes, because in corners that he was right behind me in or trying to poke a nose into, I would do fine. But as soon as he wasn't there right on my bumper, I started making mistakes, and I hit the sausage curb a few times and pushed wide, and that was kind of it.
Well, I've got to ask you here, looking ahead to this next race and the next time out, obviously here in the Spec Racer Fords, but we head to Sebring next time we see these MX-5s out on track. How do you think it's going to handle there over the bumpiness?
It's going to be fun, to say the least. Now, if it's going to be fun to drive, fun to hot lap, fun to race, I'm not too sure. Kind of got to figure that out with my buddies and my teammates, but definitely, it's going to be an experience, to say the least.
An experience, to say the least. I think that's pretty much how you've got to be able to describe Sebring one way or the other. But as for today, who makes this possible for you?
My parents definitely make it possible, setting me up with this rig, having good enough internet to stay connected. And my teammates, Morgan for the setup, said he's not here. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's out with a girl, who knows.
All right, well, we wish him and you the best of luck here for the rest of the night, my friend. Thanks for coming in and chatting with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, there you go. That was Jamison Huffman, not out with a girl tonight. Let's bring in Ryan Maloney, our winner tonight from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in the Mazda MX-5s.
Well, Ryan, we just heard from Jamison talking about what he suspected to be your attack over the course of the first half of that race, just kind of poking and prodding. What was it like from behind the wheel of the car?
Yeah, I was just trying to put on a good show for the fans. That's about it. But yeah, just trying to get in anywhere. It's kind of hard to pass there, so just anywhere I could was sticking the nose.
Well, talk to me a little bit about your sort of decision not to go for the all-out attack here. I mean, how much of that was just sort of calculating, waiting to see, waiting to find it? And were you planning on going for a move near the end, or were you planning on just kind of seeing if you could force a mistake?
Basically, every time I had a run was going up to that tight left-hander that's really fast. And I knew if we were going to go side-by-side through there, I was going to take us both out. So I just decided not to do that most of the time, so that's about it. If I had any other chance, I would have went around him. I was trying.
Well, it certainly looked like it, and a great result for you on the day. I'm going to ask you the same question that we asked Jamison. We get ready to head to Sebring next time that we see these MX-5s out on track. How do you think these MX-5s are going to handle the bumps around there?
Raced a couple times there in these, and it's definitely a fun track that bounce all over the place, and a lot of drafting straights just like Laguna, so I think it's going to be a good time.
Well, I am certainly hoping for a good time out there, but as for today, who makes this possible? Who would you like to thank?
I'd like to thank Alan Olson with Olson Invest, and my driver's coach, Brooks.
All right, well, Ryan, thank you so very much, and we'll see you out on the track. All right, well, Ryan, thank you so very much, and we'll see you out on the track in a little bit of time.
Yep, thanks for having me.
All right, there you go. Ryan Maloney, tonight's winner in the MX-5s from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and hopefully Alan Olson has figured out how to do this YouTube thing that he'll be able to watch. Alan Olson, a pretty darn good Spec Miata and Spec Racer Ford racer in his own right, but not real good with the interwebs thing. All right, let's do this, DJ. Let's take a quick little break. We're going to thank some of our sponsors here, and when we come back, we should be right in the middle of qualifying for our second race of the evening, and that is going to be Spec Racer Ford. We'll be right back here from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. You're watching the Esports Racing League. And welcome back to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for the 7th season of the Esports Racing League. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with DJ Clark, and want to congratulate once again Ryan Maloney taking the win in race number 1, our Spec Miatas. But now we move on to the Spec Racer Fords, where we're just about halfway through qualifying. And well, wouldn't you know, sitting at the top of the leaderboard right now, Jamison Huffman. I guess that's what you can do when you're the first one that gets interviewed. Jamison Huffman, our provisional pole sitter right now, much as he was in our first race of the evening, and he's got a 134.62 in the books, about 0.6 of a second up or so on Beans Forster in the 231 machine with a 135.24 to his name. Justin Huffman, that's Jamison's dad, currently third fastest in qualifying here with a 135.4. Well, move him down to fourth now as Jim Brewster puts in a 135 and a quarter, 135.25. Josh Justice in the number 99 machine, currently fifth fastest, 136.27 to his name. So let's do this. Let's quickly, DJ, while we've got only about half the field right now having set lap times, including that guy. Oh, good. I'm not going to show up on the timing tower here. I'll just be on the starting grid. For all you guys know, I'm going to race tonight, but it looks like Travis Trussell, he is on track for the Spec Racer Fords. Let's quickly take a look at our standings in the IR04s, the F4 cars. They're not racing tonight, but they will be with us next week when we descend upon Road America. Our F4 racers will have their 5th race of the season, and taking the win last week at Mid-Ohio was Nagase Yoshikawa. Great evening for him as he finished on the podium in the Spec Miatas, takes the win in Formula 4. Beans Forster, our championship leader coming into the evening, finished second. Andrew Wozencroft, great run for Andrew. He comes home in third. Justin Huffman, who again races a car very much like that Formula 4 in real life, he comes home just off the podium in fourth, and Antonio Rice comes home in fifth. And if we go and take a look at the championship standings in Formula 4, and this is now after 4 rounds out of 6. Beans Forster continues to hold on to the lead. He's got a 17-point advantage over Justin Huffman, who's second in the championship right now with 70 points. Then we've got Ray Blethen sitting in third. He's 35 points out of the lead right now with 52. And then Joaquin Effinger. Great to see Joaquin there, up running in fourth in the championship right now. He's got 46 points. He's 6 points behind Ray Blethen. Those are the only 4 drivers that have run all 4 races so far this season. Everybody else, starting with Deacon Greenfield on back, only 3 races in the book so far. And so now, DJ, as we've taken care of the Formula 4s, let's take a look at the drivers that we have on track currently. And the last time they raced was 2 weeks ago. That was at Watkins Glen, and a great win for Josh Justice, driver of the number 99 machine, a Spec Racer Ford racer in real life. He comes home with the win. John Vogel, another Spec Racer Ford racer, finished in second. Beans Forster third, Deacon Greenfield and Justin Huffman just off the podium. And so coming into tonight's race, and so with 4 races in the books in the championship, Beans Forster, your championship leader, 76 points. That is 16 points up on Jim Brewster. with John Vogel another 7 points back from there in third with 53 points. Then Deacon Greenfield and Charles Vaccaro rounding out the top 5. But the interesting thing here, DJ, is that Beans Forster, the only driver in that top 5, and frankly the only driver in the top 9 to have run all 4 races this season in Spec Racer Ford. It's not until you get to Joaquin Effinger, who is now finding himself back in 10th in the championship. Next driver who's run all 4 races coming into tonight.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a hit or miss series in terms of attendance for these drivers as we see Jamison Huffman here out continuing on, trying to see if he can better his current best time of a 1:34.62. But it'll be very interesting to see as this season continues to develop on if that consistency is going to pay off, or if you're going to have a driver that is maybe able to come in for 3 or 4 rounds that is going to be at the top of the charts just by good results alone.
Indeed. All right, so as we now have only now 2.5 minutes remaining in qualifying, we have a couple drivers that have not set lap times. Tom Froling in the number 1 machine, and I don't think he had turned a lap yet, and that left one other driver that was moving around, and he just now sets a flying lap. Jeff Andrews, driver of the number 65 machine there, puts a 136.89 in the books. That's good for 8th fastest. Now, Jeff was out in our Spec Miata race. We didn't talk much about him. He had some issues early on and ended up watching the majority of that Spec Miata race from the pit. So I'm sure he's looking for and hoping for a much better outcome here, as he is now working with only now a minute and a half left on the clock. Most likely he's got this flying lap and perhaps one more if he'd like to take it to try and move up in the order. But for the moment, Jamison Huffman is your provisional pole sitter. Time in the books of 134.62. He is on track currently. Beans Forster just decided to call off a flying lap and bring the car into the pits. He is your 2nd fastest driver with a 134.65, and look at that, Huffman resets the fast lap, a 134.26 for the number 89 machine. So a great run there. He now has almost a 4/10 of a second advantage over Beans Forster, and it doesn't look like Forster is going to be able to get another lap in. Jim Brewster with that 134.95 is now 7/10 off of the provisional pole.
Yeah, about 7/10 off there as they run. We continue to keep our eyes here on Jamison Huffman, who I got to respect this. He just continues to try to set down some hot laps here. And based off of what we're seeing, he is putting down the mark to beat. He is not only quick, but he is very, very consistent.
All right, no, we're taking a look now at Josh Justice, and we have right behind, I believe that's one of the Blethens, right behind. I think that's the 150 car of Stephen Blethen. Pardon? Yeah, there it is, the 150 machine. And see if they can move any further up in the order here. Is Justice now sitting 9th, or probably sitting 7th in the 99 machine. Too many numbers to toss around. Wow, look at this. Jamison Huffman cracks off another flyer as he's coming through the final corner now onto the front straight. Let's see if he can improve upon that 134.26. And wow, look at that, DJ.
Wow, wow, wow. A 133.97. That is going to put him a whopping 6/10 of a second above Beans Forster. That is a very quick time out of that number 89.
Yeah, you know, and as we saw in our first race, though, I mean, there's a big difference between cracking off some good qualifying laps and when you have somebody challenging you and maybe right on your quarter panel trying to push you out off a line going into a corner here. So, you know, we'll see how things play out during the race. But as the checkered flag is out on the session, Mark Sherman there in the number 18 machine crossing the line. He is not going to improve that final flying lap, currently sitting 9th. We'll see now, as I believe Wayne Buttermore is on track, but Buttermore now looks like he called off that last flying lap. He's not going to improve from 10th. Joaquin Effinger on what I believe is his final flying lap. We'll take a look here, DJ. He's currently sitting in 12th towards the tail end of the field on the outside of row number 6, and we'll see if he can improve upon a 130.35, and he's going to wave off that final lap as well, possibly having started it after the checkered flag. And he's going to take some looks like a couple souvenirs back to the pit lane with him there.
You read my mind on that. He's got a little bit of a cone friend that he's dragging along with him.
Yeah, exactly. Those big giant bollards. Grab 2 of them, and you know, one for his crew chief and one for him. Be perfect. All right. So it looks like all of our drivers now off track. We're going to be gridding them up here momentarily. But wow, what a lap Jamison Huffman here put in on that last lap. And you know the other piece about this, DJ, is the qualifying session's only about 15 minutes, although the qualifying session is not all that much shorter than the races themselves. But you never know how much fuel the drivers had in the car on that last lap, and we may find, as they have much more fuel on board to start this race at the competition closes up quite a bit. But let's take a look at the starting order. We see now as we take a look, I believe we've got our outside of our front row there on the grid. Our pole sitter has not come out to the track yet, but he is Jamison Huffman with a fast lap of 132.968, the number 89 machine. Your second place finisher from our previous race. He's going to be your pole sitter for the second time this evening. Beans Forster in the number 231 Team Watson Racing machine. He'll start on the outside of row number 1 with Deacon Greenfield starting third. Jim Brewster in the 933 car. He's going to start 4th. Justin Huffman will start 5th tonight. Murphy Nichols will start 6th.
In 7th, it's going to be Joshua Justice, followed by Jeff Andrews with Mark Sherman and Wayne Buttermore rounding out your top 10. Then it'll be Stephen Bethan and Jochen Effinger there in 12th place. After Effinger, it will be Travis Trussell there in 13th. Then Jose De Casas in 14th. Greg Ginsburg, not sure what he's doing there on the grid.
Who is that guy in the 72 car?
And then Thomas Froling will be lining up in 16th. Make that 15th.
Make that 15th, exactly. Thomas, if you can't get around me on the pace lap, there's something wrong. All right. As we're still waiting for Murphy Nichols, and it looks like he has just now brought his car out on track, and we should have the pace car here rolling off with this now, well, for the moment, a 13 car field. There is Jose De La Casas. He now makes his way to the grid, and I think they're probably sitting around waiting for me. Waiting for me. I'm not gonna go out. Oh, let's see here. Well, that's interesting. As Jamison Huffman has pulled out a line to get right in front of Beans Forster. I don't know what that was about, but the pace car now underway. Sorry about that, everybody. All right, I'll make it up by butchering the spot for tonight's second sponsor of the evening, and that is Spec Racer Sports, and their mission is to help fuel and support your addiction to road racing, and they feel that the way to accomplish this is by providing exceptional customer support, and that means the parts and services you need when you need them at a fair and competitive price. Located trackside at Motorsports Ranch Houston, Spec Racer Sports currently stables Spec Racer Fords and offers exceptionally prepared rental cars. In addition, they also have new cars for sale. They also offer storage and support, as well as technical services like chassis dyno work, driver coaching, and fabrication. And all of these are offered at very competitive rates. To find out more about Spec Racer Sports and their services, you can visit them at www.specracersports.com. All right, so what I missed, DJ?
Not a whole lot, just working here on the pace lap, watching these drivers doing a little bit of weaving, trying to get those tires up to temperature. Again, the same thing that we talked about last time. You got to make sure by the time you start to rise up the hill that those tires are in that peak operating window to maximize the grip out on the circuit.
All right, and as they head up the Rahal straight to the and get the sight in the corkscrew here for the first time. I think a little bit different, certainly a different view into the corkscrew with the Spec Racer Fords and our 2-3 cars up the front had in the Miatas. But they got to also try and judge those grip levels and how different it's going to be compared to the MX-5s here early on. Interesting, DJ, is we had those qualifying times in the mid 1.5 range. Fastest time here at Laguna Seca, Ricardo Zonta, the old Toyota F1 machine, a 106.3. So just noodle that as Jamison Huffman brings Beans Forster and Deacon Greenfield, Jim Brewster, and the rest of the field out of the final corner onto the front straight, and green flag is in the air. And look at that, almost immediately jumping to driver's right and trying to make a move up through the field. I think that was Murphy Nichols also with Justin Huffman along for the ride as we're 4 wide coming into the Andretti hairpin for the first time. Deacon Greenfield trying to get underneath the 231 machine of Beans Forster. Can he get it done? He does. Coming into and through turn number 3, Murphy Nichols with that great start made up 2 positions on the start, move him from 6th up to 4th. Then Justin Huffman in that orange, yellow, and black number 231 machine. Josh Justice makes up a position. He's in 6th. The odd man out here, DJ, to start things off, Jim Brewster started 4th. He finds himself now down in 7th position.
And a great little move there coming up through turn 5 for that was Beans Forster there to be able to get that move done. Just, I think, caught Deacon Greenfield napping a little bit, but Greenfield here going to be back on the counterattack as they rise up the Rahal Straight coming down into the corkscrew. Let's see on the Battle of the Late Breakers who's going to have it.
And we saw there, and going around is Beans Forster, as Forster came in very far to the inside. It was going to be very difficult, DJ, for him to make that turn regardless. And when he got to the apex, he found Deacon Greenfield there, as we have another driver who's gone around, and that is coming out. And let's see, I believe that's Jeff Andrews in the 65 car. I think I jinxed it as he puts the car around coming out of the corkscrew for the very first time. Luckily for him, car still on track, still drivable as opposed to that first race, but great first lap. Yeah, let's take a look here, DJ, with Deacon Greenfield and Beans Forster coming into the corkscrew for the first time. And look at this line that Forster took coming into the turn-in.
Yeah, very, very narrow turn. Contact there, obviously, with Deacon Greenfield, but I think Beans was going to have a hard time making that corner regardless of the contact. It just a very narrow line. I get the idea of wanting to give respect there to Deacon going into the corner, but I think there was plenty of room up to the right to try to make that corner a little bit easier there for Beans.
Yeah, indeed, and I can't really fault Greenfield all that much. You saw where the 231 apexed, and it was pretty much right at the beginning of the curbing there, very, very early. And Greenfield probably just didn't even know that he was sitting down there all the way. It looked as though that incident with Jeff Andrews may have included, I think, also having gone around there was Wayne Buttermore in the 73 machine, that we had both of those cars going around. Let's take a look. I think we've got that queued up as we were watching. Well, there is Andrews as he went off coming out of turn 6, goes up to the corkscrew, runs wide, loops the car around, and well, no, looks as though Buttermore was able to scoot by there. All right, let's go back live here as we jump on board now with Jamison Huffman, our pole sitter, Murphy Nichols, who's actually Huffman is quite a bit up the road. This is Murphy Nichols and Deacon Greenfield as they come down into Andretti, and you can see Nichols very late on the brakes. Both of those drivers, DJ, very loose, having trouble negotiating that double apex left-hander. But Murphy Nichols started 6th this evening, and on lap number 3, just 3.5 minutes into this race, he now finds himself in 2nd position.
Well, we saw from the drop of the green flag that Murphy Nichols was not going to be waiting around, moved out to the outside line there even before the green flag fell, just able to time that start to perfection. That allowed him to gain a couple of positions. And, ooh, there we see Effinger having a little bit of an off there, the Texan having a bad run, and that is going to lose him 2 positions, as now it's going to be Joshua Justice taking advantage there, able to get by Wayne Buttermore.
That's right. One Texan goes off. One Texan moves forward as Josh Justice now finds himself up in 8th position, getting by both Buttermore and Effinger. Travis Trussell. Did I not mention the 140 machine and his predilection to hard charger awards? He started all the way back at 13th position. He is now up into 7th. Another driver who at one point had been in 7th, Jim Brewster, in the 933 machine. He has now found his way back up into 4th position. Last time around, the 933 machine was the fastest car on track. Let's see if that's still the case as he comes down the front straight to complete lap number 4. And that time by for the second lap in a row, Jim Brewster, your fastest driver on track with a 135.5. Well, that's not correct. That may be, he's gone purple. I'm showing him he's gone purple with a 135.51, and that's a full second off of Jamison Huffman's time. That would do it. As Huffman just got word that Huffman, on what would have been the fastest lap of the race, actually left the track surface. It gained him a whole second. So Brewster, technically your fastest driver, although maybe not the ultimate pace there, as he now is behind Deacon Greenfield, looking to move up into the podium positions.
Yeah, and Deacon's had a little bit of an up-and-down race here. He was all the way up into 2nd. He's seen that fall down a couple of positions here. First with that contact, obviously, that we had a little bit earlier with Beans Forrester, and then Murphy Nichols being able to send the move on him. Now he's going to have to watch out for Brewster behind him, as Jim looks like he is backing up the corkscrew a little bit, trying to get a better run down through Rainy Curve. This could set him up for a good run here into turn 11.
Yeah, and we've seen this here. Good plan to stay nice and close, but not close enough that you can't get a run out of turn 10 and make that run and be able to pop to the inside over turn 11. It doesn't look like the 933 car is quite close enough to do it, and it also didn't look like Greenfield was bothered by the chance of the 933 car attempting a pass. They come out nose to tail. Greenfield now with about a 2-car length advantage, which under the draft closes back up. Does Brewster move to the inside? No, but that's the second time I've seen some brake lock up from the 36 machine, and I think it cost Deacon Greenfield that time going into Andretti.
Yeah, I think it did as well. Looks like Brewster's trying to keep that momentum there around the outside. Not able to get it done, but we've seen some breaks in the armor here of Deacon Greenfield, and I think Jim Brewster knows that, and he is ready to pounce at the next mistake.
Yeah, I think we saw Greenfield going down in the going down into Andretti in the turn 2 a couple laps ago with Murphy Nichols with some brake lock up there, and does it once again. A little bit of a whiff from the inside rear wheel. We'll see if the 933 car can take advantage of that, but he's got a great run out of 6 coming up, and we'll see if he goes as far to the inside as pardon me, oh my gosh. Oh, and Brewster going around, as I got tongue-tied there, I was thinking of Beans Forster, but Jim Brewster, say those two in combination real quick, goes around as he let out, it looked like he might have been able to get up alongside the 36 going into the corkscrew, DJ, but he backed out fairly early.
Yeah, that was a surprisingly slow speed to have an incident like that. I'm a little bit puzzled to see him spin around there, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah, so let's take a look here. I think we've got queued up. We'll take a look at maybe a different angle here on board with the 933 machine. Under braking, going down into the corkscrew. You can see he lets out almost a full car length, and he ended up with that almost the same approach that Beans Forster did. He found himself pinned to the inside, pinned the driver's left, maybe a little bit more so than he expected. As we go back to the live action here, and back with Beans Forster trying to make a bit of a recovery run. He's got Travis Trussell and Wayne Buttermore very close behind there, but a long way to go for Forster to get up to the 99 machine of Josh Justice. Looks like almost 6 seconds separating those two cars in 7th and 8th position right now. And I still can't say Beans Forster for some reason.
And I think to put a final period here on that Jim Brewster incident that we saw, I think he actually may have clipped that inside curbing and the inside dirt, and that's what sent him around. But I'll tell you one driver who's not worried about any of that. That is Jamison Huffman at the front of the field. He is just absolutely putting on a masterclass. Look at that gap, 4.5 seconds between himself and Murphy Nichols.
Yeah, that last time by almost 6/10 of it. Well, the previous lap almost 6/10 of a second faster than Murphy Nichols. This last time, looks like Huffman is let out of the throttle just a little bit, but maintaining that gap back to the number 5 machine. And you know, with a 1:34.28 in the books tonight, not all that far off his pole time.
Yeah, not that far off at all. As I think we've got a replay here. Deacon Greenfield may have had a little bit of an incident.
Yeah, let's take a look as the gap now is increased to 5 seconds. Oh, and just a lazy little drift over through the corkscrew, gets the car counter race, and he now sees you know, Murphy Nichols. That was Deacon Greenfield, as he sees Justice go by, Justin Huffman go by, and of course Jim Brewster, who had just spun the previous lap. Brewster now finds himself up in 3rd position, up in the points here, as Justin Huffman in the 2:33 machine, now right on his 6, right on the rear of the bodywork. And of course, we've got a win in the book so far this season for the elder Huffman as well.
Yes, we do, and he's going to be hoping to join. Oh, a little bit of a mistake there from Brewster, and that is going to open up the door and make my point to a T. He's going to be hoping to join his son on the podium, and it looks like here he's been able to make that move and get himself into podium contention.
You know, and it looks as though that Brewster was maybe overcompensating for that spin that he had just a couple laps ago. Goes a lot deeper into the turn than he had earlier. Could not get that car rotated and gets himself a lot of dirt there off driver's right. Gives up the position as Justin Huffman is able to carry quite a bit more pace down the hill, down Rainy Curve, and now moves up into 3rd position. Now we get back to a place on track where the 933 machine has been very strong, but you know, that is now just a couple laps in a row where he's had lots of issues over at the highest portion of this Laguna Seca racetrack.
Yeah, it has been the real killer out here today. Many people making mistakes, and that's in stark contrast to really what we saw in the MX-5 race, where most of the issues that we saw were coming up through turns 5 and 6, maybe a few down through the final third of the track, but the corkscrew really coming to bite here in these Spec Racer Fords.
Indeed, and now as we follow once again the 933 machine heading on up the hill, whether he can make up ground here on the 223 as they come into the corkscrew under braking, and wow, and again finds himself off track. And look at that, Murphy Nichols just ahead of him. Nichols had some issues going into the corkscrew as well, comes almost to a complete stop, and Murphy Nichols, who had been running so strong up at the front of the field, he now finds himself back in 4th position behind Huffman and Brewster. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened to the 5 machine as we see Nichols already trying to work his way around the 933 as they come up the hill. Now drops a wheel coming up through the Ray Hall Straight, and as they come down, got a lot of dirt there at the apex, DJ.
Yeah, looks like a different car at the same kind of thing. Ooh, that was a very close run there between himself and Huffman. He's very lucky that there wasn't more contact there between the two. But as I was saying, that's pretty much the same incident that we've seen. Drivers just cutting that corner a little bit too much on the left-hander coming into the corkscrew, kicking up a little bit of dirt, catching a little bit of that curbing, and that's enough to send these SRF suspensions out screaming and spinning around.
Yeah, you know, when you've got that engine sitting at the back, not as much weight behind the driver as there used to be in the Gen 2 form factor, but you know, the combination of transitioning from gas to brake, dropping down, trying to get the car rotated, and dropping down a very steep hill is many times enough to really loosen up the back end of those cars, as we now have a father-son or a son-father 1-2 as Jamison Huffman is your leader. Justin Huffman in the 233 machine running in second is looks like Jamison coming out of the final corner with just a touch over 5 minutes remaining here in this 20-minute sprint race. And we watched the 233 machine getting a lot of curbing at the apex there, coming through turn 10. But he now has Justin Huffman with just about a 2-second advantage over Murphy Nichols, as now finally Jamison gets that fast lap. DJ, as he keeps the car on track to turn in a 134.24.
And let's give a little bit more love to our leader with all of those kerfluffles that we've really seen going off behind. Look at what that gap has expanded to. 20 seconds at the front of the field for Jamison Huffman. The number 89 just absolutely running through the paces here, having a great day out in Monterey.
All right, let's take a look here as Deacon Greenfield. Oh, we see Greenfield right in the wall. That is, as they go underneath that Firestone Bridge coming out of turn number 3. And he's trying to get that car back underway. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened. We'll try and figure out if he got any real damage there.
All right, so this is coming out of Andretti right there, lining up down into turn 3. Looks like he just carries a little bit too much speed, and the rear tires just wouldn't comply, and that was enough to spin him around. Very, very light contact there with the wall. Frankly, a little bit lucky he didn't get caught in those tires.
Yeah, indeed, and didn't hit the wall all that hard as he was trying to get the car looped around. Just not quite the torque to light up the rear end there and get the rear end around as we watch him now. Greenfield, who had been as high as second position, now finds himself in 8th, and a very distant 8th to Mark Sherman's number 18 machine. Just up the road in 7th as we jump back now to the battle for second position. Justin Huffman, Murphy Nichols, and Jim Brewster. Brewster, who's I think calmed down a little bit now and trying to find his way onto the podium here, as we have now only 3.5 minutes remaining in this 20-minute sprint race here. Oh, and just as I say that, DJ, I'm sorry, Mr. Brewster. I'm sorry. As the 933 machine trying to get back underway, he's going to give up positions now to the 231 machine of Beans Forster. So Forster, who started off on the outside of the front row, dropped a long way back after that incident up at the corkscrew. He's now back over into 4th. All right, let's take a look. I think we've got Brewster's little incident here queued up coming out of turn 2, and I have a feeling this is going to look very much like Deacon Greenfield just a lap prior.
Yep, too much speed there into the corner. Tires wearing a little bit on these Spec Racer Fords, and the rear end there just breaking away from him there. A little bit too much speed, and he is going to see himself falling all the way down into 6th, with Joshua Justice able to get that move up into 5th.
Yeah, and there you go. And Beans Forster, as we mentioned, in 4th, just ahead of that battle there. Good run for the 99 machine. As they cross the stripe, going to start their 12th flying lap here with only 2 minutes remaining. And the 933 car, he's shown some great pace. We'll see if he can get by the 99. Let's try and track down, as we now have just under 2 minutes remaining. Where is our leader, Jamison Huffman? And he is heading up the hill, up the Rahal Straight. So likely here, DJ, when he comes down the hill, when he heads down almost 180 feet down towards the start-finish line. Actually, the lowest point is down at Andretti. It's 180 feet lower than the corkscrew. He should be getting the one to go, should be getting the white flag, as we now have only about 1:15 remaining on the clock. But it has been from the drop of the green flag, it has been Jamison Huffman's race to lose, but it has been Jamison Huffman's race here, as he's all by himself crossing the start-finish line with just one more lap to go.
Yeah, one more lap here, and crucially, one more lap for Murphy Nichols if he wants to try to be able to get a move here on the Elder Huffman. And I think this is going to be the battle to watch here on this white flag lap.
And that last time by, Justin Huffman turned in he was about 0.4 of a second faster than the number 5 machine, as I think many of these drivers are starting to contend with tires that are starting to go off, and maybe in combination with lighter weight at the rear of the car, as Justin Huffman has issues getting the car woed down going into the Andretti hairpin, and so that advantage that he worked up just a lap prior, DJ, it is now gone, as Murphy Nichols now right on the fiberglass, about I'd say about a car length back from the 233 machine, as Nichols runs a little wide coming out of Ford. Not an uncommon place there as you try and carry as much speed as possible through turn 4, but time running out, corners running out, and I don't know if we should say that about Murphy Nichols or if we should say that about Justin Huffman here as they're on the last lap.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of time here. Again, this could be a little bit of a situation where Nichols is looking at 2 more places to make the overtake. Immediately going defensive is Huffman as they come into the corkscrew.
And as they come down the hill, defending once again is the 223 machine, and Murphy Nichols puts the car around on the very last lap at the corkscrew, and that is going to drop him down through the order as Beans Forster moves up to 3rd, Josh Justice moves up to 4th as they come down the hill. As our leader, Jamison Huffman, he comes onto the front straight for the very last time, and coming now, he should be crossing the line here momentarily. Jamison Huffman, your winner in Spec Racer Ford here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Coming home in 2nd, Justin Huffman. And then the battle for 3rd, coming home, last step of the podium, Beans Forster. Great recovery for him. Josh Justice will come home in 4th, just off the podium. And then we've got probably the most ill-fated racer here this evening, Jim Brewster. Put that car around multiple times. He's going to come home in 5th. It was a great finish for him. Murphy Nichols, he crosses the line. What could have been for Murphy, he finishes in 6th tonight. Mark Sherman will finish 7th. Deacon Greenfield started 3rd this evening. He's going to finish 8th. Jeff Andrews will finish in 9th. Stephen Blethen will round out the top 10. And that Ginsburg guy, 16th. So, there you go. All right. Congratulations to our winners. Let's see if we who we get here in the commentary booth, waiting for our drivers to finish up. You can see there our winner tonight, Jamison Huffman, taking his victory lap or his cool down lap or something. He's going to pause there over by the rainy curve, gets out of the car, and we'll see if he pops up into the green room here in just a moment. But there is the finishing order. Again, Jamison Huffman, margin of victory over Dad, 27.864 seconds. Beans Forster comes home in 3rd with the last step on the podium. Josh Justice, Jim Brewster, your top 5. And let's see. Let's see. And I just saw a note from Jonathan Grabowski. Just be glad Justin didn't that Jamison wasn't Justin tonight. All right, let's I'll fill you in on that after the broadcast. DJ, just one more inside joke for us all. All right, there you go, popping into the green room, our winner tonight here in Spec Racer Ford, Jamison Huffman. Let's hear from him, DJ.
Well, Jamison, what a difference a race makes. In that MX-5 race, it looked like you were under pressure the entire time. This one, you just ran away with it.
It was definitely a hot lap kind of race for me. I still had my fun though, trying to push to break 33s and failed on the final lap, sadly.
Well, I mean, when you're up into that much of a lead of the race, how much are you paying attention to what's going on behind you, or are you just kind of checked out and trying to do those hot laps?
I'm kind of trying to get in my own groove and put in my laps. I'm getting audio cues, though, from Murphy and Beans and Deacon and I can kind of tell what's happening in the fight from their cues on if they're, sad if they spun or if they got to move, so...
Well, all right. Well, I'll kind of repurpose the question that I asked you a little bit earlier. We head out to Road America in these Spec Racer Fords, obviously a wildly different track than here at Laguna Seca. Do you like your chances there? How do you think that race is going to go?
I think Road America is a very fun track. I think we can have definitely a good draft pack there. And I know it usually either goes one of two ways. I either do really good there, or I lock the brakes up into 5 or Canada corner, and that's my race over right there.
Well, I understand that pain too well. I've done that many a time myself, and I certainly don't have the talent that you do. But anybody that you forgot to thank last time we talked to you?
I did forget to thank Morgan's parents and his grandparents. They are very nice at the track and very supporting.
Well, there you go. Always good to have those folks. Jameson, congratulations once again on an absolutely stellar day for you here in Ray Esports.
Thanks.
All right, there you go. Jameson Huffman, your winner tonight in Spec Racer Fords. And I don't know, maybe there's only one microphone there, but I'm not seeing Dad in the waiting room. All right, so DJ, why don't we, given that, let's see. Oh, hey, look at that. We got Jim Brewster in the other. We've got so many waiting rooms, and now he disappeared. So, well, yeah, what a shame. Wanted to talk to Jim Brewster and get his beat on the race. But let's do this, DJ. Why don't we wrap things up since we're just about at the bottom of the hour here. Want to thank everybody, of course, for joining us here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. If you liked what you saw tonight, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed to Apex Racing TV, why not click on that big subscribe button and then that notification bell so you can find out about all the times that we go live. And of course, if you haven't done so already, you can find us on YouTube. Well, I just told you about how to find us on. You're already here. You know how to find us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. Search for one word, Apex Racing TV. So next week, DJ, if I haven't been fired before then, we are going to be at the National Park of Speed. We're going to be at Road America for the penultimate round here in the season number 7 of the Ray Esports Racing League, as we have the Spec Racer Fords on track to start the night off. And then for their 5th of 6 races, we'll have the Formula 4s. And as you mentioned, the MX-5s, they're going to return in 2 weeks at Sebring for our last regular season race. And of course, you don't want to miss in 3 weeks, December 20th, we're going to have our runoffs, all 3 classes, F4, MX-5, and Spec Racer Ford. We're going to be at the new Indianapolis Raceway road course, and that should be a great evening. All right, so for DJ Clark, for John Grabowski, I'm Greg Ginsburg. We'll see you next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time from Road America. Have a great week, everybody.